Good morning. I just found a kind of a pretty barn scene that I want to paint. I'm just going to be doing a little one. I'm here with Everett, and well, I'll just get out and see what I can find here. Okay, so here it is. The thing I'm most drawn to is the relationship between the barns and these kind of majestic mountains behind. I think I'm going to increase the size of the mountains, so the first impression I got when I was driving up here. But this, I'm close enough now that I can see the details of the barn and the silo better, and I'm also going to move them closer together so they stand together as a single element, more or less. And I'll borrow different elements from this whole area, maybe even the road. I don't know. I'll get set up real quick, and I'll see how it goes. Alright, Everett found a nice place to sit on the side of the road, so I'm going to get started. Alright, first thing I'm going to do is mix up a nice blue color, just a light blue, more or less a sky color. I'm not really going to start with the sky itself, but I'm going to use it to sketch in the scene, because the sky blue will be easy to cover up later. Again, so this is white. I can't tell on screen because the contrast is all weird. Now I'm playing with the placement of the barn. And the silo, I don't like that at all. I'm going to change it. Tree, barn, just shapes in general. Let's see, maybe I'll put a tree over here. Still don't like it, it's too evenly spaced. But I do like the idea of having a low horizon line to really emphasize the size of the mountain. Let's see, silo there. There's the scene again. Oh, there we go. Now I like it. Just needs... Okay, I'm going to change this horizon line to be there instead. Oops. Forgot what I was doing there. So I changed the horizon line to there. I'm going to include this this ditch with all of its kind of interesting shapes, and I think that is what the scene needed. I'd even put a phone pole in there. In a way, phone poles are very ugly things, but in a way, it's part of the Western landscape, to be sure. So something kind of homey about it. I'm just mixing more of this blue color, still just working with that. What? Oh, I got it out. Today is trash day. There goes the garbage truck. So I'm trying to balance the idea of being somewhat accurate with just going for it. The only reason I'm even having any thoughts of being accurate today is because right before I turned the camera on, someone drove up and said, "What are you..." Well, they wanted to see my painting. "Can I see your painting?" they said. And turns out that they're fans of my art, and this is her dad's farm. And she wants first chance to buy it when it's done. So I feel a tiny bit of an obligation to be a little bit accurate, but I'm still going to paint it however I want. Okay, in a way I'm sketching it similar to how I would if it were a drawing. Not sure if you heard that. There's not much traffic on this road, but when it is, it's really loud because I'm right next to it. So I'm sketching this in similar to how I would if it were a drawing. I'm dealing with lights and darks. And I paint different every time, and I already like it. This could.
Where's the barn?
The barn is just right there, buddy. It's not. Doesn't really look like much yet, does it?
Yeah.
Okay. Before I go too far, I'm gonna mix up the sky color, which is partway between a yellowish white and a blue. So I'm actually going to just put in this white color, just tinted with yellow. That's our usual traffic around here. Tractors. So you can see how light the sky is, but I'm going to leave some actual white in. And again, it's white tinted with a little bit of yellow. Partly because a couple weeks ago, I was looking at those same mountains, only from a different vantage point and a different time of day. But it was actually morning, but slightly different. Anyway, I was looking at the same mountains a couple weeks ago, and there was a little cloud coming up over the sides of the mountains, and I was so fascinated how white that cloud was compared to even the white of the snow on top of the mountains. It was just really fascinating. I had never really noticed that or been so conscious of that before, and it just burned itself into my mind. I was just studying it as I was driving down this 5-mile long road, looking at this scene this whole time. Anyway, I didn't have my paint materials with me at the time, but it is so clear in my mind that I'm going to paint it now. I'll try to anyway. So, you know what, let me switch the camera off just for a second. I'm going to change the settings, see if it'll be a little bit better. Alright, that looks a little bit better now from my perspective. Alright, just a little bit more of that white. Paint over this little part here that is showing through. I've actually painted on pure, or completely unprimed masonite before, so I still have those paintings 25 years later, so I know that it holds up just fine, at least for that amount of time, so I'm not worried about that corner there. Alright, I'm going to try to mix the sky color. I never know what I'm going to get until I get it on there. So for this sky color, I've just mixed white and my Ultramarine Blue and a little bit of the Viridian Hue, which I can never remember what the other name for it is. Alright, so now that I've done that, I do need to darken up the mountains. So ultramarine that I'm mixing into my little pool of white that I've already got. And as I look at it, I can see some purple in there as well. So I'm going to go ahead and just dip into my purple, Dioxazine Purple. Come on, camera. There you go. So just darkening up the mountains. I find the sounds of painting outdoors really soothing. Not just the birds that I hear in the distance and the distant sound of all the things that are going on so far away, human activity that is nice to hear, but it's nicer to hear when it's far away. But I love the little scratchiness of the brush on the canvas and the tiny shakes of the easel. It's just soothing. Alright, I'm going to try to mix up the color of the silo, and to be honest, there's not much color to it. It's almost black. In fact, I think its local color, its actual color, is black, and it just has, it's being colored slightly by the reflections from other things. Oh, there we go. I actually switched back to my other mode. It wasn't working very well. So I say it every time I paint, but you never know what color you need until you put down something. Gonna put down your best guess. Gonna add just a little bit more blue, just dipping straight from the blue pile here. Looks like the darkest part of that silo is right there. It's a little bit darker as it goes down. Almost a purple. So I'm going to dip into the Alizarin crimson. I didn't wash my brush between these two colors. I was just using the same color here. Just using it as a drawing color more than anything. Same as if I were using charcoal or something like that. Just for the moment. Just drawing. So I'm borrowing different trees. It doesn't really matter which tree I use. I can just borrow trees from whichever place I want over there. They're all in the same lighting situation, so it's really easy to copy them over. Actually, I don't like that. I'm gonna take some of those out so that I can see behind the barn. Alright, now that I've got it drawn in the right values, so I need to remind myself that that's there, so but I'm going to paint it, or save it till last when I actually paint it. Let's see. Something like that. I'll save it. Put a few indications of the dark shadows in this area. Alright. Now I'm going to fix those colors of the barn. There's some brown. We got burnt sienna over there that I'm using. And mix it in with my kind of mountain color that I had there, because when I add brown it makes it darker, and I don't want it to be too dark. And you notice I'm not like over mixing it and making it all perfect, and I'm letting each and every brush stroke have a personality and shine through. You can also see that when I have a color, or more appropriately a value, already wet on the palette, I just go into that first. I don't have to get brand new paint every time, because if I already have this white that's mixed with yellow right there, then that's probably better than getting new white, because I'm not trying to mix this exact pure clean color anyway. Just going for an approximation, and then I'll change it as needed. It's far too yellow. So I don't use black very often, but sometimes it's appropriate. As long as you realize that black does have a color, it's not just a darkener. Okay, I've added blue, black. more blue. More purple. Alright, there are some really dark darks in that barn that I'd like to get in before too long. It's tough to see because there's a glare on it, even from my perspective. But let me go a little darker. Let's see if that... It's definitely the darkest dark in the scene. This one little spot. And it's not an important spot, but it still serves to establish how dark everything else is in relation. I'll just leave it for now. I want to get the local color of the barn face. The face is to the left. The reason I chose to face the barn to the left is the same reason why I would choose to face a person to the left if they were, or rather, let me say that a different way. The reason I chose to put the barn on the right side of the scene is because it was facing to the left, similar to how I would do that if I was doing a portrait of a person, because I wouldn't want them too far this way, and facing the edge of the canvas. It just would look weird. These values are very, very close in the scene. I don't know if I can zoom in far enough for you to actually see that. It's showing up much darker and more drab than I see it in real life, but you can see how this face is in light partially, and these sides of the barn are in complete shadow, but they're just so close to each other. So it's really only the color, the temperature that makes any difference at all. A little bit more white, and since white cools it down, I'm going to add just a touch more red. That same thing again, a little more white. While I'm doing that white, I'm just going to do even more. Sorry this is showing up so dark. Maybe it'll look better once I get home and see it on the computer screen, but at the moment it's very difficult to see any of the detail on screen that I'm seeing in person. I'm sure that's always going to be the case. Alright, I'm mixing more white into that red that I have, and I've actually mixed a little bit of yellow, just a touch. Just I can see some of that sunshine color coming through. There. I can see that same color in a few other spots, so I'll go ahead and put it in now rather than waiting. I just noticed that this color that I've been mixing this whole time happens to be just about what whoops, now I ruined it, but it was just about what I needed to mix into the background mountains to show the light parts. That was not a very good way of saying it, but you see what I mean though? When I can't use words, I'll just use visuals. So yeah, at the bottom of the mountain you can see that there are certain parts of the mountain that are in light, and so they are warmer and lighter than the surrounding areas of the mountain, but they are still distant, so they still have that very cool tone to them. Alright, so I'm gonna remix that to be maybe I should wash my brush occasionally. Just a minute. Alright. I usually only wash my brush when I really need to. I find it's more of a hassle than anything. So that same color, that pinky yellowish tone, I'm just putting it in the mountain. So I'm trying to indicate the form of the mountain without overdoing it. And I also don't want these brush strokes to appear pasted on afterwards. I'm going to try to get them to mix in just the right way. Is that in focus? Oh, I hope so. I'm going to have to go back in a second with some of that darker background color, that blue. I'll fix those a little bit, but it's starting to get there. Actually, there's a little tiny bit of green up there. I know that those fields up there on the foothills are green, but I can't let my mind take over. I've got to let my eyes be in charge. I paint what I see, not what I think I know about that scene. Even though I know that those are green, that can maybe help me know what color family to look at and consider putting in. But I've got to paint what I see, not what I think I know. So what I'm seeing is that there needs to be more green back there. All right. Now, I'm going to go ahead and finish up that barn. A little bit of brown. I'm doing the roof of this other part. It's facing more upward. So it's kind of a blue. And that's not right. Let me add a little bit more blue to it. Okay, that's the right color. Let me look at the scene carefully. So it's not dark enough. I'll go ahead and add just more blue. I don't have to show you because that's all I'm adding, it's just blue. Yeah, that'll do it. And add that same thing down here. Let me add a little bit of black. Alright, now what do I need to do? I'm always trying to size up the scene and decide, if I had to stop right now and just go from memory for the rest, what would I most wish that I had had remembered to place in the scene? So at this point, it's definitely going to be some of the highlights and some of the greens, definitely. So since it's easiest, I'm gonna make and take care of the highlight on the top of the silo. And that's all it is. Actually, it's too yellow. Let me try just gleaming white and see. We'll leave it there for now. Also up there is the local color. Well, what is it? Let's see, it's lighter than the mountains, but still blue.
How are you gonna do these?
Those little canvases? I don't know.
You should just find another place.
Yep. Maybe later today. Still gotta milk the cow, huh? I've changed up my schedule just a little bit. Alright, with this basically the same color, I'm going to finally put in the snow. It's both too yellow and too light. Let me add a little bit of blue to that. Okay, now that's just wrong altogether. Wipe off my brush. I'm just about out of this stuff. I forgot to refill it when I was home. It just gets used up and evaporates. By the way, never throw your thinner away. Just
Why?
pour it off into a new container, and then the paint actually goes down to the bottom, buddy. Then you can pour off the clean stuff off the top and reuse it. It really kind of irks me when people throw theirs away. It's, not only is it expensive to buy more, but it's bad for the environment to pour it down the drain.
Why do they even pour it down the drain?
I don't know, either they don't know that it can be recycled, or they don't want to deal with it. The scene is quickly changing, so I have to paint a little bit from just memory. I always have to do. I have to do that a little bit, because even the time it takes to look from there down to there, I'm studying out what the relationships are between the colors and the values. And then when I look down, I'm regenerating those in my mind. So nothing is ever copying. Okay, I'm going to wash off my brush again because I got sidetracked by that little dark that I needed to put in. Okay, so I was going to... I forgot what I was doing. Oh yeah, the snow.
Wait, why are you doing snow if there's no snow?
Up on the tops of the mountain. You see that?
Why is it white on the bottom?
Of the mountain?
And why is it like white right there?
Oh, on my canvas. That's just the part that I haven't finished yet. That part there. It does look like a snow scene, doesn't it? So I could stop here and it would look like just like a snow scene, except for the fact that there's barely any snow on the mountains, so that would look strange, wouldn't it?
You mess around when you're doing the snow in the mountains. You just do lines.
Yeah,
Doesn't have to be perfect when you're doing that.
that's right.
Because, you know, snow is everywhere on the mountains.
Yeah, that's true. I don't like how yellow that's getting. I'm just gonna remix a nice clean light blue.
How did it get paint all over it?
All over my easel? It's mostly from me wiping my brush on there, or my fingers. Make that just a little bit darker, that snow. 'Cause as I was mentioning earlier, trying to get that cloud to be one of the widest whites. You know, maybe... I'm not sure if I want the cloud to be... they can be the same for now. The highlight and the cloud. The highlight is truly the widest white, because in the cloud
Big cloud right there.
You're right. I'm doing it from memory. I was painting a cloud that I saw a couple weeks ago. All right. Okay, finally, the grass. So I'm going to start with white and yellow. It's a strong yellow, that cadmium. And I know that I'm going to need a little bit of green, but greens are tough. You don't want to get too carried away with greens. Huh.
Why are you putting yellow in the white?
Because I'm adding the green. I'll show you. Look, I just instantly changed the seasons from winter to spring. Well, it's almost summer now, isn't it? And the weather has been definitely warm enough to be called summer. Which is why we're out here right now instead of waiting until after I milk the cow, because it's been getting so hot lately.
Yeah, I need to make it greener.
So more green mixed into that same color on the palette. Now this part is just so much fun. I'm trying to see all the different colors in here and then impressionistically placing them, and I'm paying attention to how in the foreground I see more of the vertical elements, you know, little tufts of grass, as opposed to in the background I just basically see see flat. And that's almost always going to be the case. And even if it's not the case, then make it be that way. Otherwise, it'll be a little bit confusing to whoever sees it.
That looks easy.
That looks easy?
I want to do it. If you're just going to color all of it to be green.
Now here's an interesting thing I'm doing. I'm going to take a little bit of this pink and put it in the grass. Why, I may ask? Because I see it there. There is some pink. I'm going to talk to some people here. So I'm mixing up some of the shadow colors in the foreground. So shadows of tufts of grass, tufts of alfalfa, etc. So I've got green, blue, yellow, a little bit of purple. There's no magic formula for any color. It's just what you see in front of you. And as soon as you start to get formulaic, then that's when you start to lose it. So I just mixed a little bit more of blue and green because I saw up here that there was a tuft of grass right there. Tuft of grass that was a little bit more, actually it's not that one, it's that one. A little bit more blue than the others. Now I'm going to mix straight from the tube purple just so you can see what the difference is. And I'm going to go ahead and just put it. Well, I don't want to mess up my painting. Where can I put that? Well, there is a fence post. Well, I'll just show you. So that's what straight from the tube purple is, just as a comparison. And actually, I like it, so I'm going to leave it there. But now I have to modify it a little bit. Mix it in. All right. Let me get a little bit, so you can see how light that is. This light, you can see the oranges in there, the orange and pinks that I was seeing before. Then this part here is at a different angle, and that's probably the main reason why it's a little bit darker. It's also brighter, whereas this up there is kind of washed out a little bit in comparison. This is a more pure yellow and green. So I'm going to mix that up now. I'll just go straight yellow without washing my brush, so it's just naturally mixing in. That's just yucky. That's far too dark.
It's far too dark. No.
Do you think so too? Yeah.
That's light.
But it's light, but it's darker than it should be. Well, let's see. Once I get it mixed in, a little bit more of that pure green.
How did that person notice that you were the artist?
I guess because they saw me painting it. Is that what you mean?
How did they know that you were that guy?
Oh, they've seen my work before, I guess.
But you've never painted this before. How did they know that it was your work and you didn't even start?
I don't know.
They've never seen you.
Okay, I'm gonna bring some of this. Oops. I'm gonna bring some of that color into that background just a little bit, just to show that they...
Show a picture of yourself inside your thing.
Just a sec, buddy. Everett just asked if I'm going to use the same brush the whole entire painting, and the answer is probably. Yeah, I probably will, buddy. Here I'm mixing up a purpley green.
It once.
I've washed it a couple times, but I usually just find that I don't have to wash it or use a different brush, because if I were to use a different brush, it wouldn't be any easier than the brush that I'm already using, because it's just the right size. Because I can turn it this way to get a big brush stroke, or that way to get a small one, or get it a little bit more wet with the turpentine, or the paint thinner, I mean, to get an even sharper line. I love when you can tell early in the painting that it's going to be a good one. And I think that usually has to do with design more than anything, with how it's laid out, in other words. And sometimes it's just a good day, and sometimes it's just a bad day. But today is a good day.
I haven't even had like a real day yet.
You're right. That's already a good day. That's a good thing, huh?
I haven't even had a real day. We've never even done normal things.
Got another visitor. Hey! Just some admirers. These people are curious when they see a painter. Probably because I don't see a painter very often. Especially if someone's painting a scene that they're familiar with. I think those guys probably work at that farm, or at least they live around here.
Oh, you don't know them.
Yeah, I don't know them. Well, goodness, I'm almost done. Just need to get some of those trees in there. Okay, so might as well wipe off my brush on the paper towel here.
And then what do you got?
Then I'm gonna paint the tree colors. So
There is no trees. Oh.
So I'm starting with this green, just as a, because the trees are green.
Can I mix in the colors and you can tell me?
Yeah, you want to mix in that purple with the green, just that little tiny area. Don't overmix it, just that much is fine. And let's see. So we've got to put it there. Never's going to help me. Let's see. Let's put it here. Okay. And yeah, that's all right. And get some of the lighter part of that paint, put it up here in the top. And I've already got some of this green down here, so I'm going to kind of mix the two. So I've got green on one side of my brush and purple on the other. So I'm going to... I like it when the paint is left to do its own thing a little bit.
That's a little too light.
Is it? Look at that tree over by the barn. Right next to that one there. Does it look right for that one?
That one's too far away.
Yeah, it's true. Whoops. Oh, good. I'm glad the lid was on that. So I've moved the trees around.
Do you see that tree? It's like right next to it. It's like right, it looks like it's barely touching it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some interesting patterns going on in those trees. So at the moment,
You need a mixed color. Can you tell me because I want to do it?
maybe I'll let you paint on your own painting, buddy. So the trees, as I had them just a moment ago, were the sharpest lines in the scene. I definitely didn't want that, mostly because the edges of trees are not sharp. But it does bring me to the idea of making a sharper line on the barn. It is the sharpest point in the scene, or the sharpest edges, and it really is the focus of the scene. Kind of. I mean, I really wanted it to kind of be about the mountains. The mountains are sort of the backdrop to this whole scene.
Dead.
Well, literally and figuratively. But also the barn does need to stand out as a sharp element, because that's the first thing people are going to look at. So I want to reward what people are looking for. They want to see sharp lines there, and that's how we get the proper feeling across in the painting. Oh, careful, Everett, don't bump.
It's scary when you're painting because you might get it wrong.
That's true. It can be. But I can always just paint over it or wipe it out.
It's hard to do it again because you did it wrong the first time.
Yeah. When I was younger, I sometimes was afraid to paint something because...
I could do a little bit of dark red.
That? Just for the barn. So I've dipped my brush in the thinner, just a tiny bit, kind of tiny bit wet, and because of that, I can actually do a really, really sharp line. Look at that. And it's with the same brush. Dip into that again. It's almost like calligraphy.
What is that thing that you're drawing?
It's just the edge of the barn, buddy. Can you see that part?
Oh, like that little tan thingy.
Which part? That part right there? You can't actually see it now at all. I don't even know what it was now. But it was there. Maybe it's just the top of the doorway or something. And actually I can see a truck over there, but I don't think that's what it was. I think it was just a piece of wood or something over the door. I paint with my fingers sometimes just to change the... Oh yeah, so this is why my easel is the way it is. Because I paint with my fingers too much, and I wipe it on there. That's alright, it gives my easel character. And do some impressionistic style details down here. I'm not trying to be accurate because I don't even know what they are, but I like that there are shapes down there that are just kind of breaking up the area, making it a little bit different from one area to the next. There's some dark things back there that I like. Sometimes it doesn't matter what it is. You just paint what you see, and eventually you'll find that it looks just like the scene that you see in front of you. And even if you don't know what it is you're actually painting, you don't have to know that that's, whether that's a barn or what. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, as long as you're painting what you see. Just paint the shapes. Paint the right shape, the right color of that particular shape of light.
I'm pretty sure it's a barn.
You're right, buddy. I'm pretty sure that's a barn.
We're still going to get
Alright, let me turn off the camera for a minute while I just look at it. Alright, all I need is a few little kind of halfway colors. Just some kind of light greens here, indicating the tops of these. I don't know if they're bushes or it's just tall grass. But to make a little bit of a transition there so that I can't see the blue of the background showing through too much. Make this look a little bit more like grass.
Dad, how
Don't want to overdo that one color. What, buddy?
How will it work when you try to walk it when the light's not on?
I don't know. Just doesn't have anything to push against. Mixing a little bit of an orange color. Just putting this color into the grass a little bit. Just trying to balance the placement of the color. Not trying to be perfectly balanced by any means, but trying to lead the eye around from one spot to the next using color. Mix up that same kind of orangey color, only lighter this time. Oh yeah, I like that. That's kind of cool. Oops, sorry, wasn't even showing you what I was doing. Okay. Alright, I'm just going around trying to see what needs to be fixed or finessed at all. This is the point at which it's both the most relaxing and the most stressful. I don't want to leave any part of it too undone. But also most of the hard work is already done, and I just get to go around and kind of carefully, slowly, methodically fix the little tiny areas. I'm not going to show you every single thing that I'm mixing. It's kind of just all the same colors that I was doing before. I'm just trying to fix the edges of things. And the little transitional areas. Darken up the shadow of that tree a little bit. Blue, green, and purple happen to work great in this instance. A little more purple. All right. Now this is the part that I've been avoiding. Not only because it's at the end, but because I'm a little bit worried that's going to ruin the whole scene. It's this phone pole, but I do think it needs it. It's beautiful violet color, kind of a brownish violet. Ha! I'm glad I did it. Yes. Oh, that's great. Love the color, love the impression it makes. And do just a little bit darker down here. And now for this sideways piece. Makes a different color. Actually, I can hardly tell that it's even different, so I'm going to make it more different. I need to... This part stands out too much. Just gonna wipe it out a little bit. You know, in real life, you know, your eyes mix things and soften edges and things. And so you can actually get away quite a bit with softening and even really just mixing together certain things, edges of things that are next to each other. I like the detail back here, so I'm going to do a little bit more with that. Make it look more like a solid structure is all. I think I like it. Still gonna change that tree just a touch. Must be just a little bit lighter.
I wish I was gonna come to that person's house.
Yeah. Alright, let me show you what's changed in the scene here. So, I couldn't even see this roof. Didn't even know there was a roof back there, because it was the exact same color as the mountain. And now look what's happened. Whoops. Focus. Look how different that is. The one behind the barn. So that's just an example of what's changed, but everything else has changed as well. But I think I've retained really well the morning mood. I like the design quite a bit, actually.
Hey, you made the
Like the
silo
brush strokes.
closer.
What, buddy?
You made the silo closer.
I sure did, yeah. You know, I did a sketch from memory of this spot. You know, I just was driving by and liked it, and then did a sketch at home. I thought it was actually being extremely accurate, and it ended up that the barn and the silo were, I believe they were touching in my sketch. Maybe I'll show you when I get home. But yeah, It's funny what your mind can do. It can fix a scene. Just gonna put this shadow in a little bit stronger. Shadow from the phone pole. All right. Well, I guess I'm done. All that remains to be done is to sign it now.
But you could sign it a different way. Why do you sign it that cool way?
Because that's just how I sign my name. I'll show you.
And how do you do it so fast? Like,
Oh, I've just signed my name the same way ever since high school.
What about when you were a little kid? Did you just do regular letters?
Yeah. So I've just got my tiny little script brush that I've actually sharpened like a pencil on the end. And that's so that I can scratch my signature into the painting if I want to. It scratches right through the paint down to the canvas.
Hey, you do sometimes. That's what you always use black for.
Yeah. I almost always use black.
Back.
Let's see, should I sign there or there? I'll do it here. T. Gudmundsen.
Why do you do the letters after so tiny?
I don't know. I should ask myself that sometime.
People can't even read it.
This is sometimes fun to see. The way that cameras work, it's not always going to look the same. It's so much brighter back there. But it's kind of fun to see the two scenes together.
Do we go like this?
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I've really had a fun morning. Great start to a day. It's always nice. All right, time to milk the cow, but hang tight for a second. I will let you bid on this painting. All right, you clean up that stuff and I'll clean up my stuff, I guess. No, now I'm taking it down. All right, I'm back home in the studio. Just taking a look at it under the studio light, which is basically just window light. And I'm still very happy with it. And that's kind of the ultimate test, because there are glares sometimes out on location, and yeah, it looks good under this light. Looks really good. Actually, it looks better. Wow. Sorry, I'm not like just thinking I'm all great or anything, but it's just kind of magical seeing a painting that turns out the way you want it to. And it has three-dimensional qualities. It's got modeling in there. It's just, I'm just very happy with it. Basically, it's just exactly the way I wanted it to be. All right, well, I've taken a photo and documented it. That means it is officially for sale. Starting the bidding at $200. So it is 8 by 8. The gallery price for that would be roughly $800. So if you want a good deal, bid on it in the comments. I'll close the bidding 1 week from tomorrow. So I'll put the date on the screen. And here's another one that I will show very soon. All right. Well, thanks so much for watching. Happy painting. Happy art collecting. See you later. You paint too?
Because I have paint colors.
Yeah, you do.